Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another volume of the weekly Stampede. It's volume number 2. It's the 5th of November right now. And that means we have another 7 to 8 days to cover. In the past couple of days, we have seen a lot of roster changes. We have seen a lot of news. And at the end of this episode, I will be talking a little bit about the Hand of Midas metagame and the Hand of Midas hype, I should say. So let's just go right into the roster changes. We do have Tong Fu picking up a third official team. Adidas is the second one, and Tong Fu number 1. Yapets will be returning to competitive gaming and will be playing under Tong Fu team number 3, whatever it's going to be called, with Kabu, with Longy D. So that's already quite name-wise. It's a strong team for sure. They will have their debut, I do believe, next week, most likely. So definitely look forward to that. Other than that, we do have Dignitas. Dignitas actually, Midas is retiring, so that means no Midas anywhere anymore. He's gonna focus on some real life related stuff, and we will have Demon replacing him. So the ill kid, you could say, of EG, the troublemaker, who has been booted one and a half month ago, I do believe. He will be replacing Midas, and he will actually replacing him role-wise as well. So that means he will take up the support role, play the support, and hopefully do well for Team Dignitas, because they have been in a slump recently. They have not been able to puzzle their team together, just work it out and play strong. I've not seen strong games by them, or not a lot of strong games. They have lost the majority of their games, and right now they are in Korea, however, and they have won all games so far in Korea, but it's not the full roster. Kurok is not there, so Demon is playing solo mid, and they have a stand-in, which is Winter. Winter is standing in for them. So yeah, we will see how Dignitas is going to be playing with the full roster, how big their potential is. Next off, we have Rising Stars. They have picked up Miracle from first departure. He left in a really fast fashion and just picked his bags and went off from Singapore. And he's going to be replacing Sylar. Sylar leaving Rising Stars. So that means Miracle on the carry role, most likely, hard carry role. Sylar will be actually going to Vici Gaming and will be replacing Tutu in terms. So Tutu has been the carry player for Vici Gaming as well, so that means Sylar will be playing the carry role, and Vici Gaming looks like they have a strong lineup right now. He's going to be playing alongside of ROTK, Super, Fenrir, and FY. So definitely in terms of expectations, they're way up there. We will see how Vici Gaming is going to be doing. Virtus.Pro, they have removed solo, and if you remember last weekly Stampede, I had another news section on Virtus.Pro, and they had finally finalized their roster with solo. So that means within 1.5 weeks, solo gets booted out from the lineup again. Reasons? Nobody knows. Rumors have it that apparently there is some problem with Light of Heaven, maybe internal issues, and solo has not been working out with them character-wise. That's quite an interesting thing, because solo has turned down a few offers and has decided to go with Virtus.Pro, and now he gets booted right away. So not quite sure what to think of this whole move right there. But Virtus.Pro, again, a roster of 4 people. They're trying out a new stand-in right now. We will see if they're ever going to find a stable roster or not. And that is actually it for the roster changes for this week. Next off, in the news, we would have a lot of leaks actually still running and progressing. We have 2 to 3 leagues that finished. For example, the Electronic Sports World Championship, ESWC, what people call them in short. They have finished. It was, that tournament didn't have a lot of attention, unfortunately. One reason was that Dailymotion was the stream, and people apparently had problems with the stream. I myself didn't have any problems with the stream. I don't know what exactly is going on. It was lag free for me, but whatever. People didn't want to watch the games, or they couldn't watch the games, and it just felt like the whole tournament didn't achieve a big let's just say, it didn't feel like it was a prestigious event at all, and in the past it has been. So yeah, Empire taking that though, not being defeated at all, going up without dropping a game, and they won against EG 2-0. So they are securing themselves $12,500. Congrats to them for sure. They have showed strong games in the past, and However, I do have to say that I don't know how to value this tournament because not a lot of the top tier teams were there. I mean, then EG was there, which yes is sort of up there as a top tier team, but in the recent few weeks, you could say that EG has not performing well, and therefore this is by no means any you can't measure anything by this tournament. But however, Empire takes that tournament. It was a LAN tournament, so that is definitely something. $12,500, as already said, are going towards them. EG securing themselves $7,500, and on the third place, Sigma Int, people around Fata, Shoksha, and so on, they secured themselves $5,000. So congrats to them as well. Next off, we do have the Nexon Invitational Super Match. The week 1 has finished last week, and that's a tournament that is in Korea. It's on the soil of Korea. That means everybody's playing offline. It's a LAN event basically, and Fnatic and Liquid both have been there, and they have stayed there the past week. And Fnatic went on undefeated and secured themselves $15,000 for those super matches. I mean, you have to say that's definitely some cash for 1 week of maybe 4 games. Interesting. $15,000 going towards Fnatic. Again, Fnatic picking up a prize in the past weeks. They have won Nutolic Cup number 1 last week, so they're definitely up there right now. They're performing well. Liquid taking the second spot, dropping I think 2 games as far as I'm concerned, opting out with $7,500, quite a sum as well. And they're taking out that one Korean team which is seeded in every single group, because that's the format. It's one Korean team against 2 foreigners. And they want to show and they want to prove themselves to be worthy of the competitive scene. And they went out without winning a single game, and they're not getting any cash, nothing. So too bad for Underrated. Currently, we do have week 2 going on, so check it out. Dignitas is there, Speed is there, and we have MVP going up against them as the, I guess you could call it the home team, whatever. Next cup would be the WePlay Cup. We have seen that the lower bracket finals finally have been concluded. We do still have the grand finals to be played out, and that's still not determined when they will be, when the game between Na'Vi and Alliance will be played out. Na'Vi killing off Liquid. Liquid securing themselves, however, a third place and therefore $4,000. So congratulations to them as well. They have made it through a long, long way, only opting out against Na'Vi 1, 2, 3, I do believe it was. So yeah, let's see when the scheduled grand final is going to be played, because Na'Vi against Alliance, it's definitely something to look forward to. And again, Na'Vi Alliance, it's all over, it's everywhere. Every single time I'm looking to top games, it's Na'Vi Alliance. When is that ever going to stop? Next league would be SteelSeries Southeast Asian Cup number 3. It's a smaller cup, a really small cup actually, but it's a local cup. And Titan, which have been proving to make a name for themselves currently or recently, they have been they've been undefeated in that tournament, and they won $800. So yeah, you could say $800 is not that much. However, it's Southeast Asian region, so that is one of the bigger cups that has been happening there. G League Worldwide Qualifier would be the next topic, or in general G League. Very, very interesting in general what's going on in the Chinese competitive scene right now. So we have G League that has announced their dates and has announced their worldwide qualifier, where basically 6 teams plus 2 teams that have qualified in a Western and Eastern qualifier will be battling it out for 2 qualifier slots, I do believe. Those 2 qualifier slots, that means that they can actually compete in the group stage in the G League in China. So that means they have to stay in China for 2 weeks and compete there offline on an LAN final. That means, of course, that a lot of resources and time has to be put there. But, however, we do have a lot of top teams playing that G League Worldwide Qualifier. And the interesting thing is that G League has actually announced their schedules overall. And we will get back to that in just a moment. It basically means that it's going to clash with a lot of tournaments, and there's some turmoil in the Eastern scene because teams don't know what to play, which tournament to play, because everything is just conflicting schedule-wise. However, do look forward to G League, because that has been a big tournament in the past as well. LGD Int and IG are directly invited already, and the rest of the Chinese teams, they're in the qualifier right now. So let's see who's going to qualify there and who's going to be playing whom after all those qualifiers are over. In terms of the clash, there's another league, a Chinese league that has been out there already. Red Bull Esports Champions League. Season 1 was, I do believe it was some time around March, April, May. Yeah, yeah, I think that fits. And however, they already sort of announced their second season, even though there are no real details out there. And it's gonna be again an Asian league. How much prize money, everything, nobody knows. But one thing everybody does know. The schedule is more or less out there, saying that the grand finals are already booked and it's gonna clash with the Dota 2 league. As you know, Las Vegas is coming up. It looks like probably LGD is gonna qualify for that direct spot for Las Vegas in the Eastern qualifier. Obviously, a second team will be qualifying themselves as well after going through a round robin knockout system between the second and fifth place team of the Eastern qualifier. However, what I'm trying to say is that basically we have 3 leagues right now that are about to collide. It's basically Las Vegas of the Dota 2. Sorry, that was my mouse slipping away. It's Dota 2 league in Las Vegas, the finals that are going to be played in the beginning of January. And at the same weekend, there is going to be a schedule conflict with the Red Bull ECL, so Esports Champions League. They're going to have their finals, I do believe, as well on the same date. So that means that teams that qualify for both, they have to decide now, Chinese teams obviously, are they going to go to Las Vegas and compete for $50,000? Or are they going to go and play for the prestigious Chinese or Asian tournament? A very interesting thing right there. The ACE, so the overall organization of all teams in China, they have that kind of thing going on, which you have normally in soccer leagues or football leagues. They normally do decide if you're allowed to compete in different leagues, and they have actually released a statement that no matter what the teams choose, they can do whatever they want to. So basically, if teams decide they want to play in Las Vegas, they can, and they can leave, and they can do that, and just ignore the Red Bull ECL. But the question is, what is, for example, LGD gonna do? Because they are basically qualified for Las Vegas unless they lose against DK, which would put it into an interesting tiebreaker, I do believe. So what are they gonna do? Are they gonna play in Las Vegas on American soil, or are they gonna go to the Red Bull ECL? Nobody knows. And then one day after that final weekend, there's the G League. I don't know if it's a finals. I do believe it's a finals as well. So it's one day after that. So that means if you go to Las Vegas, you're basically not going to make it on time to come back to China and play G League, right? So that's again a prestigious Chinese tournament where teams would just miss out on. Very interesting. We will see what teams are going to decide. I still don't get why ECL had to follow through with their schedule. I mean, obviously there is the Chinese New Year's coming up in January, so therefore they have to be ready and play everything beforehand, I do believe. I don't know. Well, whatever the case is, they don't even have their tournament announced in a proper way yet, and yet they still decide to clash the dates with other tournaments. No go in my opinion, but it happened. We will see what's going to evolve out of that whole situation right there. Then we have, I do believe, 3 more small topics. The Chinese qualifier of the Electronic Major Series has been announced. So we already had the fall season online qualifier and everything going on, and playoffs going on. And we have 6 qualified teams, plus a Chinese team that's going to come, plus the American team. And the Chinese team is going to be battled out in that qualifier in the next couple of days to see who's going to the LAN finals, which are going to be played at the 6th and 7th of December, I do believe. Next would be the Dream League. It has started, so do check it out. A lot of interesting games are in that league, or coming up in that league. Definitely worth watching. And then last shout out is actually going towards a video that has been released last week by LGD. They've released their pre-TI3 video, so that means I do believe it was a fan or staff. They have followed LGD around in their bootcamp prior to the International 3, and they have made a lot of interviews and everything, and behind the scenes kind of thing. So if you want to see and get the atmosphere, how esports is doing really behind the scenes, and how people spend their time, prepare for matches, how they bootcamp and everything, do check it out. It's quite interesting in my opinion, and it's actually quite informative as well, and I really enjoyed that. The subtitles are up, you call it subtitles? I don't even know. You can definitely read along. You will understand everything. So check that out. Last but not least, we're gonna move into our where does the meta go part of the weekly Stampede, and it's gonna be, or the big topic of today is gonna be Hand of Midas. And basically what you see right now is Hand of Midas is being picked up a lot. I do believe it's about 85 games plus minus since the patch. I looked it up a few days ago. I think it was actually yesterday. 85 games more or less, which is quite a lot if you consider it's about 300 games probably played so far. Means that in every game you have a Midas, and now you could say, yes, sure, that means that there's a Lone Druid, that means that there's a Prophet. Of course they're going to pick up Midas. Yes, no, 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 not those heroes. I'm going to just go through a few heroes that have been picking up a Midas. There's, for example, a Rubik picking up a Midas, a Warlock picking up a Midas, a Bounty Hunter picking up a Midas, and a Crystal Maiden. You know, of course, there's Invoker and other heroes that, you know, make a lot of sense because of the experience buff. Now, I'm gonna just throw out some few points, and it's up to you to decide what you think of the whole trend of going Midas and whatnot. If it's good or not. Who am I to judge, anyways? But here are a few points that I'm just trying to make. First of all, since the patch, neutrals do give less experience. Have been nerfed quite a bit. It's around 30 to 50 experience that have been taken off of every single neutral camp. So that means that farming woods is not as effective level-wise. And as supports with pulling and farming neutrals, what your main goal was to get ahead in levels compared to the other supports, to have a bigger impact in the early and in the mid game, and to just be up there, fight, have your levels, and be a good utility to your team, right? So now that they give less experience, the farming doesn't pay off as much, and therefore, obviously Midas is a nice factor to give more experience in. I mean, just imagine picking up a Midas and Midasing a Halber Smasher gives you a lot of experience, because that's the main reason why you pick up a Midas. It's not because of the gold, it's basically because of the experience, or with most heroes, it's because you get that experience gain, that boost. For example, Invoker picking up an early Midas, it's all about getting those levels up, because he's going to be more useful the more levels he has, the more experience he has. Also, in addition to that whole point of the neutrals, that means that there's a lot more fights going on, because nobody's caring anymore, or it's not worth pulling and farming the woods at all. Which means then, in terms of the metagame, that there's a lot of team fights going on, a lot of smoke gangs, dual lanes, a lot of fighting in general. So that means that experience matter even more now. I mean, it's about fighting. You need those experience, as I just said, and that means that the experience gain granted by the Midas obviously has a big impact into the mid game if you pick it up while roaming, while just for example, Crystal Maiden throwing out a Frostbite on some big creep, hitting it 2 or 3 times, and then just moving on, because you know you're gonna get the gold anyway. So that means you're gonna get to the Midas with some one team fights quite fast, and that's actually the brilliant thing right now, is that people pick it up after they won 1 or 2 team fights and just spend maybe 1 minute in woods finishing off the Midas, which is definitely a nice thing to do. It's not like they're farming the woods completely and they're completely missing in action, and that's why they get the Midas. No, it's not. So that's one part of it. And also another part of it is, if you get pushed and sieged, just imagine the following scenario. You're standing at your tier 3 tower in mid lane, and you see a heavy pushing lineup with Chen. They're just rolling over you, and you can't get out of base, and they're standing in front of your tower, wanting to go uphill every single wave, and they're just sieging around. So that means overall you're not gaining any experience, not any farm, and I mean, they aren't as well, but they're already in the lead anyway. So if you have 1 or 2 Midases, maybe even on a support, what happens is that every single time they come and you have the Midas off cooldown, you get more farm, you get more experience, and therefore, by being sieged, and by being sieged, you do actually come back into the game a little bit, as in you gain more experience, you gain more gold than the opposing team. Now, that means that the opposing team has to really value or decide, do we want to commit to that push, to that siege? Do we really want to siege them right now? We do know they have 1 or 2 Midases more than we do. Do we want to do that? That's another point of it. And the last factor would be, I guess, the reliable gold and the whole nerf around the buyback, taking away the reliable gold, or taking away gold gold farming issues and needing reliable gold to buy back and all that kind of mechanism that people have been touching upon already. That just means Midas is a safe income towards the reliable gold because it gives reliable gold, and therefore you have a safe buyback, and so on and so on and so on. So I guess that those are the main reasons for Hand of Midas being picked up even on supports currently. Now obviously that means they are picking it up in some sort of flow. I'm not saying they are farming in woods, Crystal Main and the Warlock, dual farming woods till they have the Midas minute 15. Then they come out with Midas and then they're going to be OP. No, they roam, they kill, they have fights, they gain advantage, and they just occasionally throw the Frostbite, for example, into the woods and farm up. And that's why they get the Hand of Midas. And Crystal Main actually is one of those heroes that has been picking up the Hand of Midas almost. Yeah, actually, I think that's a common hero to pick it up right now. I think 14 or 15 games on Crystal Maiden, she has picked up a Midas already. Huge numbers right there. But yeah, that's the whole topic of the Hand of Midas. Gold everywhere. I hope you're not doing it too much in pubs because people tend to get really mad. Don't do that. But yeah, that is actually about it for today's weekly Stampede. We will see what's going to happen in the next week. Obviously, next update is going to be up in about 1 week again. So either Tuesday or next Wednesday. Do look forward to that. If you want to support me, just subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. Any feedback regarding length, any feedback regarding quality, any feedback regarding certain points or what you want to see, just forward them to me. I will definitely read over them and I will try to improve. And other than that, that is the Weekly Stampede Volume 2. See you again with the next Weekly Stampede.